you may be wondering why I'm sat here looking like a complete mess, and that's because I am just about to go and get ready and do my hair. Now, I've got loads of questions over the past couple of months about how I do my hair, and I thought I'd just answer a few of them for you now. I've noticed that in my recent videos I have been wearing sunglasses and different reading glasses and things on the top of my head, and the reason why is because my roots are getting pretty abysmal. Now, I haven't dyed my hair for probably about 6 weeks now, and the reason why is because my hair was getting a little bit damaged and it just wasn't feeling as nice as it used to. So last time I dyed my hair, I used the hair dye which I'll be showing you today, but I also used a semi-permanent crazy colour hair dye just to do my ends. So here we come to the first question. I've been asked, is that your real hair? So I'm going to take down my hair and show you probably why people get confused as to what even my hair is. It's been a bit hot recently and my hair is well due a wash, so that's why it looks a little bit kind of clumpy, but once it's washed it's normally quite soft and shiny. So I think the reason why people don't think that all of this is my hair is because this bottom part of my hair is a completely different colour. When this is near the top of my head, as you can see, it just looks like it's completely different, and it just looks like I've got weird extensions in which are like the wrong colour. The reason my hair is like this is because around like a year and a half ago I dyed my whole head black and I completely regretted it like straight away. This was just after I went like every single colour of the rainbow and my hair ended up going green and I just couldn't do anything with it, so I decided to do it black. Since then, every time my roots have grown out a tiny bit I've just literally dyed it red. So as you can see, I've probably had about this much growth in like a year and a half, but I'm still left with this kind of end bit which has gone a really weird colour. So I'm sure within like the next year it will be like completely red. If I was to just cut off my ends now, I would just have full red hair. So a question that I'm always asked is how I do my hair, like how do I get it up in like a big thing at the top of my hair. Now the secret to this is when I've just washed my hair it doesn't work, so I'm going to show you now rather than after I've dyed and washed my hair. After a couple of days of my hair just being down and being free, it kind of starts to feel a little bit more like rough and it has a bit more texture, as you can see. Now the science of putting my hair up isn't that hard. I literally just take all from the sides and just have it and scrunch it in a big ball at the top of my hair. The aim of my hairstyle is to be quite messy, so I don't really bother too much. I just make sure it's all off the back of my neck. And when it's all kind of scrunched at the top, I take 2 thin elastic bands. I find them easiest to work with, and I just literally tie it around a couple of times. I'm then left with this weird kind of blob on the top of my head, which is where I just kind of pull it out a little bit and just make it a little bit more messy looking. Now I have like curls and waves to the end of my hair and I think this kind of really finishes off the look, but if I have recently straightened my hair I do sometimes then take the straightener and curl the ends just to give it a little bit more volume. I like to have hair around my face, so I then do pull out little bits from the front. The way I cut my hair is slightly shorter at the front, so it means that these pieces always kind of come out quite easily. I'll be going into how I cut my hair a little bit later on because I do need to give my hair a bit of a cut, because as you can see my fringe is getting a little bit too long. I then also like to pull little bits from the back. I do have shorter layers underneath my longer layers of hair, if that makes any sense, and they are cut literally specifically so that I have short bits that come down around my neck. And once I've finished it all, I normally take a bow. So this is just the ghost bow that came from the Spooky Box Club ghost box, and I just shove it right in the middle. And that is generally how I do my hair. Now I absolutely love like the back combed look and things, but with my hair, if I back comb it, I just can't get the knots out. It's just the texture of my hair and the way it is. So this is the closest I can get from having like big back combed hair. And now I need to dye my hair because as you can see my roots are coming out really badly and I'm starting to look as if I'm going bald. Now the reason I end up looking bald is because I am naturally a really light blonde, as you can probably see here. So it ends up looking like all of this is bald from a distance, but it's actually because I am like a see-through blonde and it's just not a good look. Red is a relatively forgiving colour. As you can see, I've somewhat got away with it for the past like 6 weeks, but now it's got to the point where it's getting a little bit annoying, and when I start having to wear things like headbands and glasses just to cover it up, I realise that it's just easier to just go ahead and dye my hair. Before any of you gross out and tell me how bad condition the ends of my hair is, I know that the end of my hair is quite sort of dry looking and it looks kind of a bit skanky, and that's because it is just where all the dyes have mixed over time, and it's got that kind of like greeny undertone, which is just so hard to get rid of. Now, I bleached my hair once in my life. I had 2 white strips here, so when I put my hair out like this, I ended up looking like Frankenstein's bride. I absolutely loved the look of it. At the same time, because I am naturally blonde and my hair is just naturally like thinner strands than everyone else's, it meant that my hair went really wiry, and it was like the most horrible feeling. And I actually ended up cutting like big bits of my hair out just because I hated the texture of it. And I could easily bleach the ends and just get them red, so the whole of my hair was red, and I could just cut off the ends, but then I wouldn't have much length to put my hair up. So it's a little bit annoying, but I kind of live with it, and most of the time it's sort of hidden at the back of my head, so no one really noticed. So the next most common question I asked is, what hair dye do I use? So other than the crazy colour one, which I use probably like once a year just to try and make the ends of my hair look a little bit nicer, I absolutely swear by this brand of hair dye, which I believe is Squoff. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but it's their Live Intense colour range. I absolutely love it. I have tried countless red hair dyes, and every single time I come back to this one. Surprisingly enough, I found this at first in Poundland, and I was like, are you kidding me? This is amazing if I could get all my hair dye from Poundland, because hair dye is around like £5 a box, but since then I think it was just like a fluke like batch that they had, because since then they've never had it in Poundland. This hair dye is available everywhere. It's like in Tesco, Sainsbury's, Co-op, Boots, Superdrug, everywhere you go this hair dye is there. And the only problem I have is actually finding my shade, because this is a really popular shade of red because it works so well. The other hair dyes, when I've dyed my hair red, the actual colour has come out of my hair before my roots have grown out. You can see that my hair is still like visibly red, and that is after 6 weeks of having this hair dye in. And I wash my hair relatively frequently. I've been swimming in the sea, I've been swimming in a swimming pool, I've done like hair masks, I've done loads of things, and my hair is still red. As you can see, my hair doesn't turn out exactly the same colour as the lady, but it's pretty close. Her hair is based on if you bleach your hair first. It gives you a tiny bit of a guide as to how like bleaching your hair can get it that vibrant, and mine's just on like natural blonde hair. I'd like to also say that I know some people really hate this brand and say that it's really bad for your hair. I've had this in my hair every day for about 1.5 years. I feel like my hair is still in a really good condition for the parts which have this hair dye in, and in fact the bits that don't have this hair dye actually feel gross. So here is the shade that I use. It's shade 35 and it's called Real Red. I know that Live Intense Colour do a few other red shades, but this is my favourite one. They do a semi-permanent called Pillar Box Red, which I have actually never tried, but I am hoping to try relatively soon, and of course I will let you know if that is any good. So inside you get a couple of things. You get a little sachet of conditioner. Now these sachets drive me absolutely crazy. Trying to open these in the shower is like the worst thing ever. You have to use your teeth, and it just kind of goes everywhere, and your hands are all slidey. It's just pet hate. So I always open these up before I even get in the shower. These are the main bits. This has a tiny bit of like a lightening sort of cream in it, which I guess kind of lays you with a good base. In here it actually has the red colour, number 35. I always check that the numbers match up, because these boxes are really easy to open, and I always have the fear that someone's like shoved a different colour in there and then I'd end up with like bright blonde hair again. You also get instructions. I absolutely ignore these because through the whole time that I've been doing my hair, I have always found my way is always better than the stupid instructions. And you also get some lovely gloves in there. Now with semi-permanent hair dyes, especially crazy colour, I found that it stained my hands like so badly, and it stained my face, and after I've used it I get like a red line along here. You can actually put Vaseline on your head and your fingers and it will stop the hair dye from sinking into your skin, but then your face and your hands are all slidey. Now this is a semi-permanent dye, and honestly I end up getting it like all over my face and my neck, and as soon as I've washed out my hair dye and had a shower, it completely goes. I'm gonna go ahead now and dye my hair because it is well due a little bit of colouring. This hair dye does have a slight lightening quality to it, so I always take off all of my nice clothes and I put on a kind of rough looking t-shirt. T-shirt acquired. Now I am always asked what hairbrush I use, which I thought is a really strange question, but the hairbrush I use is this one. I have about 7 of them and this is the smallest one I have because my other ones are still in like my moving bags, so this is the one that I always keep in my bedroom. As you can see, the name has like completely rubbed off, but it's called DENMAN, DENMAN. I will link them down below. I know you can get them from like Boots and Superdrug, and I swear by this hairbrush. Its spikes are plastic and they don't have any little balls on the end, so your hair doesn't get ripped out. And it does have a rubber backing on it, which means that it's anti-static, so you don't get any static from your hair when you use it. You can see my hair is now like a massive fruit ball, and I literally cannot do anything with it when it's like this. This is mainly because my hair kind of dries with like a wave and a little bit of curl in it, and when I brush it, it just kind of gives up. I would also like to point out that I do actually buy 2 boxes of this hair dye. My hair is relatively long and it means that sometimes I do need 2 boxes, sometimes I just need 1, I just see how it goes. I'd like to also state now that I am not a professional hair doer, so the way I'm dyeing my hair is probably going to make some of you really cringe. The first step is just to squeeze all of this into the lightening kind of plastic pot. This comes out, it actually comes out white, which is always really confusing. Once it starts going on your hair, it kind of reacts with the oxygen and it starts to turn a nice red colour. So now that that is empty, I just shove the lid on top of here and then you give it a good old shake. And now I'm just going to start dyeing my hair. So now that all the dye is in, you can see that it's kind of turned a red colour, but I still have like this line of like dripping red coming down. So I normally just use a baby wipe to get most of it off. It does kind of leave a little bit of a red stain until I get in the shower, but once you've kind of conditioned and shampooed, it all just disappears anyway. So it does say on the instructions that you should leave it in your hair for like half an hour before you wash it out, but I usually leave mine in there at least an hour. To be honest, it normally kind of starts to go a little bit dry and crusty, and that's when I know it's time to wash it out. I know this can be slightly dangerous with some types of hair dye, and especially if you're using bleach and things, because you don't want to leave bleach in for too long, but due to the ingredients of this one, it doesn't actually matter how long you leave it in. So I'll be back in about an hour. It's been about an hour and a half, so I'm going to wash this off, and I think I'm actually going to straighten my hair because I need to actually cut it. You can see it took to my roots really well, and it comes up really bright on my roots for some reason. When I've just dyed my hair, my roots come up this like really bright red, and then once I dried it, it all blends in fine, but for some reason it just looks super bright when I first do it. So my hair has all pretty much dried now. I've given it a little bit of like a brush and I've straightened the ends a bit just so it's a little bit more manageable, especially when it's just been washed. It's quite like slippy and slidey, so it's quite hard to kind of keep all up at the top of my head if I'm trying to kind of do my normal hairstyle. So definitely for the first couple of days after I've washed my hair, I usually just have it down, or I put like parts of it up with like clips and things. Even though it's looking really quite flat because I really need to give it a bit of a cut. So I've got a blanket on my lap. So basically I use a comb like this when I'm cutting my hair because it's a bit easier to sort of section things off like that with the end of it. Now I've had the same fringe since I was probably about 11, which is when I first started cutting my own hair. I've only been to the hairdressers twice and both times they have ruined my hair completely, so I've ever since done it myself. With my fringe, it's just a matter of keep cutting bits until it feels like it's the correct length. There's no like science to it, but I do cut at a slight angle because the hair closest to my parting is the bit of hair which is going to be the shortest compared to that one. I can tell if it's too long because it will just literally hang in my eyes, and I probably cut my fringe maybe every sort of 10-12 weeks. But I do sometimes do like little trims if it needs some maintenance in between. Once my fringe feels like it's the correct length, it still feels a tiny bit long, I then take the side bits. So when I was younger I had major layers, which is why I kind of have like a bit of a bob going on at the front. I normally trim these a slight bit just so they don't look so like blockish, otherwise it just kind of looks like I've got major extensions in or something. Now something I used to do all the time is I used to cut this bit of my hair really short, so I'd have this strand the same like length as my fringe, and this used to really annoy me because the way my hair is, it used to end up like sticking out like this, and it's just an awful look. So I feel like with fringes and stuff, you just gotta try it out a little bit and just see what it looks like. Now the way I cut my hair is more for how I want it to look when it's up. I really don't enjoy wearing my hair down. So how I style it is just so that it looks the best when it's up. And then what I do for the rest of my hair, I probably do this again every like 10 or 12 weeks, is I then just get rid of some of the split ends. So it's usually, I find that my split ends are kind of from here down, so I just kind of go through it systematically, like chunk at a time, and just give it a little bit of a trim and see if it needs a little bit of like dead ending. Sometimes with this I do end up cutting off like a matter of millimeters off the end of my hair, and other times I have to cut off like a couple of inches, so I just kind of see what it's like. At the moment it's not too bad because I don't think it was too long ago that I split ended it. While I do this, another question which I keep getting asked is how I grow my hair so long. My hair is like to my lap in length. I'd say basically when I was younger and I was a kid, my mum like never took me to the hairdressers or anything, and I just had really long hair. And then when I got to probably about 11, when I started actually caring about my hair and I started cutting my fringe and things, that's when I started trimming it and making it feel a bit more healthy. While I was at college and I was dyeing my hair crazy colours, I was using crazy colour hair dye, and that is a semi-permanent dye. So semi-permanent dyes are highly conditioning, which means that they are so good for your hair. Like honestly, people who had like raw natural hair, who never dyed it, their hair felt like rougher than what mine felt after, you know, months and months of dyeing mine. And I dyed mine with crazy colour for around 2 years flat before I stopped using semi-permanent and moving on to permanent hair dye. And so in those 2 years my hair was constantly being conditioned all the time, and it just kept it really healthy. Another thing I'd say is just like not to overdo it with your hair. I know a lot of people are constantly buying masks and doing all these different treatments and getting it cut constantly and being quite like high maintenance with their hair. I find with my hair, and of course it's different for everyone, that the less I do to it, the better it becomes. And sometimes I will just spend like a week and a half without washing my hair, just so the natural oils kind of get back into it and so that it just feels healthier. So I'm going to remove this big like blanket worth of hair pile and put that in the bin a bit later. So now my hair is done and it feels so much softer just from cutting the ends off, and also it does end up looking a lot thicker as well because it gets rid of all those like annoying straggly bits. Although like the straggly bits are officially longer than the rest, it just makes your hair look kind of unhealthy and horrible. And the last thing I'm going to say is how I cope with my hair when it is newly washed and completely like too silky to do anything like big and bold at the top of my head. Now I swear by using 2 thin hairbands rather than 1 thick one, I just feel like it holds so much better. I'm not sure why. I think it's because you've got like double the elastic in it, but I will always choose 2 thin ones rather than 1 thick hairband. My favourite hairstyle to do when I am kind of dealing with this like state of my hair, I usually just chuck all my head forward and just put a ponytail like smack bang at the top of my head. And if you put the hairband slightly further up from your scalp than you'd expect it to go, it kind of just gives it a little bit of volume if you have flat hair syndrome like I do. Because of like the extra hair, it kind of bunches out at the side a bit, and then you can kind of pull out any sort of strands or anything if you prefer to have a slightly more messy look like I do. And I always pull out a few strands behind my ears, just like I do when I have my hair up properly at the top of my hair. As you can see, by putting the hair bobble like slightly further up your hair than you normally would, it does make your hair appear to be shorter, but it just gives you a little bit more volume and like drama going on. And of course, I always top it off with a little bow to hide the hairband. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has answered a few of your questions. If it's still sunny where you are, I hope you're enjoying the shade, and I will see you next time. Bye!